4 million people, 3 knockout matches that went to extra time, 2 penalty shootouts, 1 man holding it all together. In 2018, Luka Modrić led Croatia on one of the greatest World Cup runs football has ever seen. This is how a nation nobody expected almost conquered the world. Croatia's campaign began quietly. Their opening win against Nigeria was professional, controlled and important, but it did not immediately change how the world viewed them. They were still seen as a dangerous side rather than a serious contender. That changed in their second match. Argentina arrived under enormous pressure. 4 years earlier, they had lost the World Cup final in Brazil, and by 2018, the burden around Lionel Messi and his generation had only grown heavier. For Argentina, this tournament was supposed to be another chance at redemption. For Croatia, it was a chance to prove they were more than a talented outsider. From the early stages, the contrast was obvious. Argentina played with tension, Croatia played with patience. While Argentina searched for control, Croatia slowly took it away from them. Modrić was central to that shift. He was not dominating the match through speed or strength, but through timing. He received the ball in crowded spaces, moved it before pressure arrived, and gave Croatia the calm Argentina were missing. Every touch seemed to reduce the panic around him. When Croatia took the lead, Argentina still had enough quality to threaten a comeback. A match involving Messi is never truly safe. But then, with the game still balanced on emotion and possibility, Modrić produced the moment that changed the tone of Croatia's tournament. He received the ball outside the penalty area, created a yard of space and struck it perfectly into the corner. It was not just a goal, it was a statement. Croatia went on to win 3-0. Argentina, one of the great names of world football, had been dismantled. Modrić walked away from that night not simply as Croatia's captain, but as the symbol of something much bigger. Croatia were no longer hoping to survive the tournament. They had announced themselves as a team capable of changing it. After that, Croatia completed the group stage with another win, this time against Iceland. 3 matches, 3 victories, 9 points. On paper, it looked clean and convincing, but the knockout stage would reveal a different side of Croatia. Not just their quality, but their ability to suffer. The round of 16 brought Denmark, and almost immediately, Croatia's perfect control disappeared.
Almost come through to Poulsen. It's smacked goals by Jorgensen. It's over the line.
Denmark scored in the opening minute, turning the match into exactly the kind of chaotic night every favourite fears. Croatia responded quickly through Mario Mandzukic, but after that early burst, the game settled into something far more difficult. The spaces closed, the rhythm slowed, every attack carried risk, and every mistake felt heavier than the last. This was where Croatia's World Cup changed. The group stage had shown their quality. The knockouts began to test their character. As the match moved into extra time, Croatia had the chance to win it.
Modrić might find Kramaric here, sends it forward instead. Rebic round the goalkeeper, brought down by Jorgensen.
Ante Rebic broke through on goal, rounded the goalkeeper, and was brought down before he could finish. It was a penalty, and the responsibility fell to Modrić. For a player who had spent the tournament giving Croatia calm, this was supposed to be the moment he ended the tension. Instead, his penalty was saved.
Schmeichel, right at the end of this last 16 game. Modrić!
For a few seconds, the entire story seemed to freeze. The captain, the leader, the heartbeat of Croatia, had missed the chance to send his country into the quarter-finals. But what followed became one of the defining images of his tournament. When the match went to penalties, Modrić had to walk back to the spot. Same opponent, same pressure, same fear. This time he scored. Croatia survived the shootout and moved on. It was not elegant and it was not comfortable, but it revealed something important. This team could bend without breaking. Modrić could fail in the biggest moment and still find the courage to step forward again. That night, Croatia did not just win a football match, they learned how to survive. The quarter-final placed Croatia against Russia, the host nation, and the atmosphere made the match feel bigger than the football itself. Russia had momentum, belief, and a stadium full of noise behind them. Croatia had already been dragged through 120 minutes and penalties only days earlier. The danger was obvious. One more exhausting night could break them.
Cheryshev. He'll try one. He'll score.
When Russia took the lead with a brilliant strike, the stadium erupted. Croatia were behind again, and for the second straight knockout match, their World Cup was slipping toward danger. But Croatia had started to develop a pattern. They did not panic when the game turned against them. They absorbed the moment, worked their way back into the match, and slowly allowed Modrić to bring order to the chaos.
And here's Mario Mandzukic. And that's 1-1. Andrej Kramaric.
Croatia equalised through Andrej Kramaric, and from there the match became another battle of patience and endurance. Again, 90 minutes were not enough. Again, Croatia were taken into extra time.
Modrić. And the header finds the corner. Domagoj Vida.
Domagoj Vida's header gave them the lead, and for a brief moment, the semi-final looked within reach. But Russia refused to let the night die.
Shagoyev and Mario Fernandez! Russia are still alive!
A late equaliser sent the game to another penalty shootout, and Croatia were forced back into the most brutal test in tournament football. By this point, the physical and emotional cost was becoming impossible to ignore. 2 knockout games, 2 extra times, 2 shootouts. Croatia were not cruising through the World Cup. They were fighting for every inch of it. Modrić stepped up in the shootout and scored, even if the penalty carried a little more drama than he would have wanted. Croatia held their nerve. Russia finally broke, and the small nation that had entered the tournament as an outsider was now in the World Cup semi-final. But the deeper Croatia went, the heavier the story became. They had survived Argentina's reputation, Denmark's resistance, and Russia's emotion. Now they had to face England's belief. By the time Croatia met England, the physical difference between the teams seemed impossible to ignore. England had reached the semi-final with energy and confidence. Croatia had reached it through exhaustion. For England, this felt like the return of something historic. It was their first World Cup semi-final since 1990. The country was singing again, dreaming again, and beginning to believe that the long wait might finally be ending. After just 5 minutes, that belief became even stronger. Kieran Trippier curled a free kick into the net. For a while, England controlled the mood of the match. They were sharper, fresher, and carried the confidence of a team that sensed opportunity. Croatia, by contrast, looked like a side still carrying the weight of everything they had survived. But the longer the match continued, the more Croatia found their way into it. Modrić was central again, not through one spectacular moment, but through constant influence. He kept showing for the ball, kept relieving pressure, and kept giving his teammates a way out when England tried to squeeze the game. Slowly, the rhythm changed. England's early confidence began to fade. Croatia's experience began to grow in importance. In the second half, Ivan Perisic brought the match felt different. England were no longer protecting a lead. They were defending against a team that had already proven it could survive anything. Then came extra time again. For Croatia, it was their third straight knockout match beyond 90 minutes. By logic, they should have been finished. Instead, they looked stronger. England began to fade, while Croatia seemed to feed off the suffering. The decisive moment came when Mario Mandzukic reacted quickest inside the box and finished past Jordan Pickford. In movement, England's dream collapsed, and Croatia's greatest football moment was born. A country of just over 4 million people was going to the World Cup final. And Modrić was at the centre of it, tired, bruised, but still running the match with the same quiet authority that had carried Croatia from the beginning. This was no longer just a surprising run. It had become one of the most remarkable journeys in World Cup history. The final against France was always going to be Croatia's most difficult test. They had reached the biggest match in football, but they had done it the hard way. Their knockout campaign had taken them through 3 straight matches beyond 90 minutes. By the time they reached Moscow, they had already spent more emotional and physical energy than any finalist would want to spend. France represented a different kind of challenge. They were balanced, powerful, disciplined, and built to punish mistakes. They had the athleticism to stretch Croatia, the midfield quality to compete with them, and the attacking talent to change the match quickly. Croatia, however, did not begin the final like a team overwhelmed by the occasion. For long spells in the first half, they played with courage and control. They pressed high, moved the ball confidently, and refused to treat France like an opponent they were supposed to fear. But finals do not always follow the emotional logic of the story. France took the lead through an own goal, a cruel moment that gave them control without needing to dominate. Might carry them one last time. Then came the decision that changed the match. A handball was reviewed by VAR and France were awarded a penalty. Griezmann scored and Croatia were forced to chase the final again. From there, the game began to move away from them. France added a third, then a fourth, and the mountain became too steep. Croatia were still brave, still willing, still searching for something, but the energy that had carried them through the tournament was finally running out. Mandzukic pulled one back after pressuring the French goalkeeper, but it was not the beginning of another miracle. There was no late equaliser, no extra time, no penalty shootout waiting to save them. When the final whistle came, France were world champions. Croatia were beaten. And Modrić was left with the most painful kind of ending. Close enough to touch history, but not close enough to own it. He had taken Croatia past Argentina, Denmark, Russia, and England. He had carried them through pressure, missed penalties, extra time, and exhaustion. But the World Cup did not end with him lifting the trophy. It ended with him walking past it. Modrić did not leave Russia without recognition. He was awarded the Golden Ball as the best player of the tournament, an individual honour that confirmed what the world had seen over the previous month. But the image was bittersweet.
Luka Modrić, Golden Ball winner, o craque da Copa, Luka Modrić. Desde Romário em 94, campeão não ganha o craque da Copa. Justo, imensamente justo.
The Golden Ball was not the trophy he had chased. It was not the prize that had driven Croatia through 3 knockout battles. Modrić had not come to Russia to be remembered as the best player of a tournament his country did not win. He had come for the World Cup. That is what made Croatia's story so powerful. It was not perfect. It did not end with the fairy tale image of a small nation lifting the trophy. Instead, it ended with something more complicated. Pride mixed with pain, history mixed with heartbreak. Croatia had lost the final, but they had changed the way the world saw them. They were no longer simply a talented football nation with memories of 1998. They were World Cup finalists. They had stood against giants and gone further than almost anyone believed possible. And Modrić had become the face of that journey.
Modrić surely seals it for Croatia. The young goalkeeper left without a prayer.
His tournament was not defined only by goals, assists, or statistics. It was defined by control, courage, and endurance. By the way he kept demanding the ball when Croatia were under pressure. By the way he stepped forward again after missing against Denmark. By the way he kept running deep into extra time against England when his body should have had nothing left to give. In the end, Modrić did not win the World Cup in 2018, but he gave Croatia something that may last even longer than a single trophy. He gave them belief, the belief that a small nation could stand on the biggest stage in football, the belief that experience, unity, and courage could carry a team further than reputation, the belief that even without the perfect ending, a journey could still become immortal. The World Cup is remembered for its champions, but it is also remembered for the teams that made people feel something. In 2018, Luka Modrić and Croatia did exactly that. They did not complete the fairy tale, and that is why his World Cup run will never be forgotten.